welcome to Relish Books. Today I'm talking about a few of the books that I read in 2023 that I liked and disliked, and just some of my thoughts on a few of those that I have handy. And remember that I did read, I wasn't keeping great track. I'll try to do better in the coming year. So I'm just gonna go through a few, comment on them a little bit, and I'm super excited to get into 2024. So one of the first ones that I read this year with my sister's book club was The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot, who was Mary Ann Evans. And I had also read Middlemarch, which I didn't like, and then this one, which I also didn't like. So it's just a very emotionally draining story, and you don't like any of the people. At least I definitely didn't. I think Middlemarch was a little better just because there's so much depth and character development, but still not pleasant. Yeah, just not a big George Eliot fan. I don't really care for that very heavy style that seems like it's looking on things from a pretty cold perspective, just kind of studying human nature, and you don't really have your good or bad characters because it's trying to show you the sides of everybody. I would like that if the characters were more likable, if they felt more close and real, because I do like complexity. I do like a lot of character development, but I just don't like the way she does it. She has a very philosophical, almost like condescending tone to all her writing that I really don't appreciate. I know that a lot of people disagree, but that's my personal opinion. Then I finished Walden. I had been working on it for over a year. It's good to just pick up every now and then. I really enjoy just picking it up and putting it down and reading bits here and there because it's a lot of just reflections and thoughts. I actually bought this copy at a gift shop at Walden Pond when my family was there on a road trip, and so that just makes it extra special to have been there and really felt like the peace of the place, and then to read the book with that in my mind and that perspective was just really fun and kind of a unique experience. So I really like that one. Then I have The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, which I did a video on recently. If you want to know what I thought about it, go check that out. I had some mixed things to say on this. Ultimately, I think the writing is excellent, though. I have Anna and Her Daughters by D.E. Stevenson. I don't know this author. This is a book that my mom just sent to me. And I enjoyed it. It's just kind of an old-fashioned, it's kind of a pleasant, relaxing kind of story. Yeah, it's just kind of nice. I liked it. I always like older books like that. Have Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, and this book is so exciting to me because so many of the authors that I love are dead authors, and when I see somebody contemporary, this story just came out, I think, in 2023 or 2022. I'm not sure which, but it's very new, and it has the makings of a classic. It's very, very short. It probably shouldn't be called a novel. It's more of a novella. And I immediately bought it because I loved her previous story, which I'm not remembering the name of right now. Foster. Yeah. Both of them are excellent. And I love that style of writing that's so simple, but it's so bare. And it doesn't feel too bare to me. I mean, some people see it as being too bare. I love it because it puts trust in the reader's intelligence to know what's going on. It's very simple, but you have to be such a masterful and complex writer to achieve that kind of simplicity that doesn't give you anything extra, but just the perfect amount. And that's so rare. That takes so much skill. I'm super excited to see what she'll write next. I want to read all her stuff because she is amazing. I kind of wish her stories were longer because you read it and then it's done and it's like, I want more. But they are pretty much perfectly executed. So I love that one. I have Kate DiCamillo's The Puppets of Spellhorst. Now, I will definitely be doing a video about Kate DiCamillo at some point because she is my favorite, I guess you could say kind of children's author, but also just one of my favorite authors in general. I love her books. Sadly, I feel like she's been declining a little bit lately, and it makes me very sad to say that, but her last couple books have been a little more misses, in my opinion, than some of her peak ones. It's very short. We read this in my sister's book club also, and we had some disagreements on it. Some of us liked it more than others, but it's a nice story. It's sweet. But again, I think she missed her usual mark of excellence with it, so I was a little disappointed. I have been reading some H.P. Lovecraft stories for the first time. I'm not a horror fan, but I had heard a lot about him, and he's kind of considered like the father of horror, although I do think Edgar Allan Poe came first. I'm not sure about that, but I do like him better than Edgar Allan Poe for sure. Again, horror's not my genre in like pretty much any sense. I do enjoy suspense, but I think that if I'm going to read horror, I enjoyed these stories because it's not just like a psychopath murderer or something like that. It's these very weird, like supernatural, cosmic horrors. The genre, I guess, is like cosmic horror. But I think that Lovecraft had a very specific talent when it came to this writing, where he'll constantly tell you, and it got a little old, like as you kind of read the same stories where it's kind of the same thing over and over. I really liked the first few. By the end, it was kind of like, okay, he's kind of covered all his ground over and over. But I really am impressed with how he tells you that something that he's describing is indescribable because it's like from a different dimension. It's like from outer space or whatever, on just dimensions and shapes and colors and sounds that humans can't grasp. So like there's all these creatures and stuff that he's constantly telling you he can't describe, and yet he manages, by just being very masterful with language, to describe around them. So it's almost like we get this picture of what they look like by their mold, almost. And so I think he's really good at that, and that's really impressive. I think a lot of people kind of try to do that technique sometimes and really fail, but I think he is great at it. I don't really know if I'll read more. I enjoyed these, but again, horror's not really my thing. I don't find a lot of point in it. Of the stories in there, I think The Color from Outer Space was my favorite. Then I have The Assassin's Apprentice and Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. These are the first two in the Farseer trilogy. And I am reading them because they're some of my husband's favorites. And the last one, Royal Quest, or Assassin's Quest, I think, I'm planning to read this year. These are different from the type of books that I normally read, but I was pleasantly surprised by them. I think that her writing is very good. For this like style of book, usually it's she's definitely better than many of her contemporaries, I feel like. So the writing is good, the characters are pretty good. I feel like if you don't enjoy stories where it's pretty much continual horrible things happening to the main character and just their lives being completely miserable, then you probably won't like it, because Fitz has a very trying, miserable life where he pretty much never gets to do anything that he wants to do. He's constantly trying to do what's best trying to do the right thing, and he just gets like beat up for it all the time. So that's definitely frustrating. But overall, the characters are good, the plots are gripping. I found the first one more engaging, which is interesting because at least in the first part of the book, I think it's actually slower paced, but I just enjoyed that one more. But the second one is gripping as well. I think for books that are considered like fantasy and are kind of like, especially with their names, I think the names of the books are misleading. Assassin's Apprentice and all this. It's actually, especially for the first part of the book, that first one is very slow paced. It's kind of just Fitz is growing up, and it really takes time to develop character more than just having constant action, and that's something I really appreciate. But at the same time, especially in the second one, there are a lot of action scenes. So I like them quite well. I am not sure how I'm going to feel about the third one, but I'll definitely make a video about it when I finish it. A couple last ones that I read that I don't actually have at the moment. The Midnight Folk by John Masefield was another one of our book club picks. It's a children's book that I had never heard of and never read. And I really, really wish that I had read it when I was a kid, because I'm sure I would have loved it. And I still really liked it. I really enjoyed it, but it's just so imaginative and so much more relying on the imagination of the reader and more of a challenge than most children's books. And I know I would have really liked that. I still really like it, but that one was fun. And then I did read, and I am ashamed to admit it, but I'm just going to be honest. I read Fairy Tale by Stephen King, and I never really intended to read a Stephen King novel because it's not my thing. I just was never going to do that. But I read it because of an agreement that I made with someone. They were going to read one of my favorite books, and I really didn't like it. It grew on me by the very end, but it also makes me curious. I'm not going to, but it makes me curious to read some of his other stuff because he's so huge and so popular, and it was really badly written. And it had several big flaws on several levels, and it just made me wonder if that was because of the character perspective that he chose, if maybe telling it from this character's point of view, that the flaws in the storytelling were just on his part. So it's just like a character that he's playing almost. Or if maybe he just can only write horror because this book is not horror. So it's kind of changing it up a little bit. I don't know. But there were a lot of major flaws, I felt like. Didn't really like it. Didn't really like any of the characters. And but I read it. And that's all that I can remember for sure from this year. I think I read Dracula this year, but it might have been last year, so I'm not sure. I might make a video on that eventually, because I didn't really like that one either. So yeah, those are some of the books that I read this year, and I am very excited for next year and to keep adding to my list. And I have the luxury of having quite a bit of time right now that I haven't always had. So I have a lot of time for reading, and I want to make good use of it. So thanks for watching. Bye.